welcome back to my channel. This video I'm going to be looking at painting sky, things like clouds. If you want to get nice fluffy clouds in your sky, this is one of the ways you can do it. So I'm just using my 1-inch Hake brush, and it's actually supposed to be clean. I didn't wash my brush out, so you can see with the colour already there, but it's not really a problem. In fact, it's actually quite nice. It gives that just slightly warm undertone. And I'm just covering most of the paper and just leaving a few pockets of white. And these are going to be for my clouds as I soften up and add more to the sky. So I wanted to do that. So you can choose to cover the whole paper, or you can leave little bits unpainted or dry paper, and then you can go in and soften any edges, things like that. So that's what you want to do with painting sky and adding clouds. You want these nice fluffy clouds. You don't want them to look like they've been cut out and stuck in. So I'm just going ahead, carrying on with the rest of the sky. So as I come down the paper, I'm using longer horizontal strokes, and that gives a feeling of distance, and then you got the bigger clouds at the top of the paper. So what I'm doing now, in order to get these nice fluffy clouds, you want to wash your brush, and then just go in and you want to go in and soften all the edges, so you get these nice wispy sort of clouds, and it gives the impression that the sky is moving. There's some weather or maybe a storm or anything like that, and I want to leave this white area just to indicate some light just popping through the clouds, and it just gives that really nice look. So I've added a little bit of Pyro red to the blue that I've been using, and that was it was a cerulean blue, but you can use any blue that you want, and a little bit of Pyro red, or you can use indigo or purple, anything like that, but just use a tiny amount because it is quite a strong colour and you don't want too much of that tone in there, just to get the sort of bluey purple colour. Again, just rinsing out my brush. Can you see how I'm doing that? And then just going in and just gently softening up any of the areas that I want to be soft. Just want you to be mindful not to overwork the sky. It's not something that you can just paint and try and get this and that exact. It's best if you let the watercolour just run and do what it does best, and you get more of a fresh looking sky. For the land area here, I'm just adding some yellow ochre and just mixing with a slight bit of sap green, just to get like a meadow or some sort of land, just to go with the sky and complete the painting. As you come down the paper and come to the bottom of the paper, you want to add a little bit more pigment. Just get stronger with the colours, and it just helps with the distance in the painting. Using a credit card just to scrape out some rocks, some highlights, and I will be adding some trees to this scene quite shortly. And I'll show you a really good tip to paint your trees, because I'm not very good at painting trees. I find it sometimes it just don't come out right. So if you're in that same boat, then I'll show you how to overcome that. What I'm doing here, I've just grabbed a liner brush. It's a number 2 liner brush, and I've not actually put any pigment on the brush. I'm just going in with the wet paint and just pulling up, so I'm getting these little twigs and little things growing and coming out of the rocks, so it's quite nice to just do that. And also, if you did notice, I used a credit card to scratch out some rocks. I usually use one with a rounded edge, and that's the best way to do it. Otherwise, you got to be careful you don't scrape and scratch, damage the paper, damage the painting with any sharp corners. So now for the trees. Now, like I said, I'm not very good at painting trees. They don't usually come out very well. But as I paint a painting and I'm adding a few trees, it's always best to paint quite a few trees, and I'll tell you why. For this, this tree here is in the distance, so I'm doing it quite faint, quite pale. So I'm going to do a few trees, just waving my brush around and just adding little shapes and dots and things like that. And then as I progress, and the more I do, the last sort of tree that I do normally comes out quite nice. So you can always hide these first lot of trees, and what I'm doing, because they're in the distance, I'm just using my brushes just to get down the shapes, and they are quite misty, quite a bit in the distance. So I just use my brush to add a little bit of water and just spread those marks around, and it sort of looks like trees in the distance. So they don't have to be very, they're not being very defined, so it doesn't really matter too much. And as I'm doing this, I'm getting used to painting, and it's normally sort of the 3rd, 4th or 5th tree comes out quite nice. So I'm using this just to get the right sort of trees and do that quite well. So you look at this, it looks like a a bouquet of flowers. So I'm just using the brush now just to blot it mostly out and just give it a vague shape, so it looks like a bit of a cluster of trees. So I'm happy with that. It sort of works because it's in the distance and it's quite misted out. Then it doesn't need any sort of any perfection. So I'm happy to do that, and then I can add some trees in front and go a lot darker with the pigment. So I'm using more pigment, as you can see now, and I'm getting used to the tree shapes. Probably using the wrong brushes or wrong brush for this, but you want to be careful. You want to use quite a thin brush for the trunks or branches, but just adding this tree so it goes in front and it pushes those trees back in the distance. And now just adding some trunks, and I want to add some ground to this so it doesn't look like it's floating. So just use a brush to create a little line underneath the tree. And that's pretty much how I do my trees. Just get a few down, and then by the time I've done 3 or 4, then I'm quite happy with the trees. The 3rd or 4th or 5th tree, it looks okay. So that's my tip for painting trees if you struggle like I do. But I just think I need to use different brushes, or I need some new brushes, because sometimes I try and paint with a Hake brush and it gives you more of a uniform shape all throughout, so your trees look a bit almost like they've been printed. But I'm quite happy the way this has turned out. And again, I just want to change the tone, take some paint out, add some just so I've got different tones, and so it gives impression of distance, or maybe one tree's behind the other, and that makes it look quite effective, and I'm quite happy the way that's looking. Well, that's it for this painting as I remove the masking tape. So I want to thank you for joining me, and I hope everyone has a wonderful new year and stay safe. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again. Bye.